Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar with Apps Events. Today, I'm delighted to be talking with Matt Austin and Darren Jackson, who are from Backupify. Now, Backupify is a company that does a great backup solution for Google Workspace and also for Microsoft. We're partnering with, we're already partnered with Backupify for international schools and UK schools. So we've seen how good this solution is. And we want to give a quick overview. And also we want to look at why you might want a backup system, even if Backupify isn't for you. Why might you want to think about finding another way to back up your data and the reasons you might want to do it? So first of all, hi Matt, hi Darren. Do you want to give a quick introduction of where you are, who you are, and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. My name is Matt Austin. I'm the director of sales for Backupify. I work with our new business team as well as our customer success organization. I've actually been with Backupify for just over 7 years now. So I've been in the Google Workspace world, in the backup world for quite some time. Backupify is part of an organization called Datto, but we focus very specifically on Google Workspace and M365 backup. Darren, I'll have you.
And Datto's recently been acquired, hasn't it? I mean, I guess, did you have any feedback on what's happening with Backupify? Is it going to be situation normal?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing as well. So it's still working through final review, still going through the final acquisition process. So we should know more in the upcoming months, weeks, whatever it looks like. Yeah, exciting.
Great, yeah. And hi, Darren.
Hi, how's everybody doing? My name is Darren Jackson, located in Boston, Massachusetts, here in the States. And I've been a part of the customer success team for just a little over 2.5 years now, working with both our customers and our resellers, ensuring really everybody's getting the experience that they need.
Sounds good. Well, Darren's the person you might be speaking to if you've got any questions, what if you become a customer. But Matt, I want to start off by talking about, a lot of people think, they're using Google Workspace for education, or they're using, Microsoft 365 for education. Like, do they need a backup solution? And if so, what are the reasons people might need to think about backup, and who should think about it? Is it everyone? Is it big schools? Is it big districts? Like, who should think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. We think everybody. EDU is our largest industry by percentage of customers wise for Backupify. We've always found a lot of good use cases with education organizations, specifically internationally. Our product is built for international organizations in that we have many different data center locations that they can use. And it goes beyond what Google or Microsoft natively have and even recommend us. So if you go to Google or Microsoft and start to talk about, hey, if I was hit by ransomware, what should I be doing to recover it? One of the first things they're going to say is make sure you have a third-party backup solution. So that's where Backupify is recommended to be able to give people the opportunity to recover data in those situations nobody wants to talk about, but are very real, whether they're accidental or malicious. That's what people use Backupify for, is to recover
Definitely. And obviously, we want to give everyone all the options. If you're like a very small school on a very limited budget, like, you could buy your own hard drives, export your data from Google. It'd be a very basic solution, but you could kind of do a very basic solution yourself if you really didn't have any budget at all, couldn't you, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. And we do believe Backupify is an incredibly budget-friendly, inexpensive solution. You could obviously, if you have a hard drive, you'd be able to build something to pull data down. But the real value in Backupify is our UI and our application, the ability to go and quickly log into our application, find the specific data you're trying to recover or export, and go on with your day. We know IT directors in particular are incredibly busy. The last thing they want to be working on is trying to go find one specific email on a folder in a file in a closet. What you'll see today, right? I can show our platform, just how simple and easy it is to use.
Great. Now, Matt, like you mentioned ransomware, I'm very interested in cybersecurity, and ransomware is a big thing. I'm not sure what the percentages are, but I know like a large percentage of the attacks are educational institutions. There's a perception of that, that there may be easier targets, even though that's not always accurate. So I know a lot of hackers are targeting education. So how does having a backup provider like Backupify protect you against a ransomware attack?
Yep.
And what is it? We should probably say what a ransomware attack is to start off with.
Yeah, absolutely. And horrible, right? And just the fact
Yeah.
that people are targeting schools. In the States here, we actually recently just saw the oldest university in the United States recently shut down because they got hit by ransomware and we're
Yeah.
not able to recover. And it's just devastating to organizations and heartbreaking to hear about stuff like that. The way Backupify works, or the way ransomware works, right? It's generally done through the sync client. It corrupts files that are in Google Drive mainly. We have things like SharePoint and OneDrive on the Microsoft side too. But once those files are encrypted or corrupted, there's no real way to recover them natively with Google or Microsoft. And if there is, it's really going back to old files or some sort of downloaded locally situation, right? With Backupify, we have point-in-time recovery. So we're able to go back to a point in time whenever that was right before that ransomware attack happened. And your data is exactly like it was then. So you're able to clean up the environments, remove any sort of corrupted files or folders, and able to recover exactly like it was before then.
It's interesting. I did a master's in education a few years ago, and the university, I won't say the name because they had abysmal IT, but they got hit by a ransomware attack, and all systems were down for about a month, and you couldn't get anything, couldn't get any access to your data, anything. So I have to think they didn't have. I couldn't get an answer, but I have to think they didn't have any backup solution. And this is quite a big English university.
Sounds like a good prospect for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of organizations don't think about it until it happens, right? A lot of companies say we've not been hit by ransomware, so maybe we probably won't. We don't need this yet, and we obviously think about that way more proactively. It makes sense to have a solution before you need it, so when it does happen, you have that data backed up.
So the way the ransomware works, obviously you mentioned this, examples like WannaCry was one of the big ones, wasn't it, recently? I know there's a few others. Essentially, you get a screen, your screen is locked, and then the school will get a message. We're going to start deleting data in 6 hours. If you send 0.1 Bitcoin or whatever the amount of Bitcoin is, by this date, we're not deleting it. And then it typically starts deleting data every 12 hours or 24 hours. That's typically how it works from what I've seen. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you don't even know what happens till it's too late. It sits on applications for days or weeks at a time, and all of a sudden happens. We see it happen right before schools go on summer vacation a lot. So that way backups have to run, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business what these people are doing. But exactly. And I'm not bold enough to do it today, Dan, but we did have one of our old sales engineering managers infect himself with ransomware and then on a live webinar and show how easy it is to recover that data with backup.
Was that on your YouTube channel? I saw a YouTube of a live infection of going through it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So if we can definitely share that out with the audience as well after this call. But it is if you're generally just interested in ransomware and how it works, it was so interesting to me to see.
No, that's
scary.
You see on GitHub, I think you can actually get all the main ransomware exploits. You can actually download them, and obviously you got to make sure you got a well-partitioned computer and everything, and be very careful. But interesting.
I trust our engineering team to do that better.
So ransomware, how quickly could someone, if someone's got Backupify, and they get hit by a ransomware attack, which it does happen, like we said, how quickly could they be up and running again?
Yeah, so we are specifically focused on the recovery of files and folders. So if you get hit by ransomware, you'll still be able to send and receive mail as usual in your Google platform. It's not like your on-premise server is going down or your mail server is going down. So Google's fantastic at that, right? Their uptime and accessibility. What we would do is we're covering all those files. So, and I can show this in a minute here as well. We do 3 backups per day. So every 8 hours, we capture a snapshot of the live environment, and you're able to go back to those snapshots in time. So if you were hit right now, you'd be able to go to the most recent snapshot that was probably taken this morning and recover it exactly like it was then. But we usually see it take some time to actually realize somebody was hit by ransomware. And so that's why we have the ability to go back to many points in time and recover that data.
Got it. Cool. What other reasons, ransomware, the big one, what other reasons should people think about backup solution?
Yeah, ransomware is the hot topic. Darren, if you have any too that come to mind while I'm talking through this, please let us know. But I think some other ones we have are things like retention. A lot of organizations in specific state or countrywide regulations say you need to adhere to certain regulations. So here in the States, we have a lot of FOIA requests or ability just to recover, whether it's faculty or student files, on a quickly time to adhere to certain regulations. Whether that's another big use case of ours is to ability to archive former employees. A lot of the times when former students or employees leave the organization, they want to be able to keep that data somewhat active, but not in the live Google environment. So you can utilize Backupify as a sort of archive for those particular students or teachers, faculty there as well.
Got it. Great.
Yeah.
And sorry, I don't.
I was just going to mention there's one other scenario that I run into a lot on my end, just speaking with customers. It's more operationally than anything that in termination scenarios, having the on-demand backup button or option really saves a lot of headache and heartache, especially when these users are power users, have a ton of access to really important documents. It may not be all that thrilled about leaving the organization, go in and remove a bunch of data that can honestly no longer be recovered, other than in the scenario where there's been really, really great backups taken, especially if you do one right before they're being told.
Sure, that's great, and it'd be great if we can have a look at that when we jump into the system. Good to see that. Cool, guys. Anything else, Matt, or should we jump in? Have to pull up your slides and go over there.
Yeah, I'm ready to show some slides. Ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Really, I think I have 3 or 4 slides here to sort of talk about what we believe in a backup solution, and then dive right into the product here. So what we focus on is simple, automated, and secure. These things mean it's a simple platform. It's easy to use. It's easy to understand. It's built for IT people. I think a lot of this probably audience is used to using something like Google Vault or another sort of solution that is really built for the legal teams to be able to do searches and exports. But this is built for IT teams to recover data.
Yeah, can I just jump in at that point? Because obviously that's a question that comes up. Why not just use Google Vault? Like, why would you need Backupify if you have Vault?
I don't remember. I don't know the last time you've tried to recover data in Google Vault, but it's
I know.
Easy one to use.
The only time I've seen Google Vault use is when there's been like a lawsuit and they needed to say find all the emails sent to a specific person and export the file and give it to the lawyer. That's essentially when I've seen it used.
Yeah, it's a legal tool, right? It's used to do very specific keyword searches. It's not a recovery solution, and Google will tell you that as well. You can do the export and import back in, but if I'm an IT director, I'm not using that as a recovery solution. And so that's just the simplicity of Backupify. It's also, if you have your backup and your live environment with one vendor, a lot of organizations just say that's not exactly backup. You want to be able to use a different vendor in a different location outside the Google platform to make it a true backup solution. Google is fantastic. They're going to keep your data safe. It's really that it's in a different location. It's on a different platform. From a security perspective too, Dan, we also own our own data center. So we don't use Google. We don't use AWS or Azure. Our parent organization, Datto, we own a multi-petabyte cloud. We also own data centers across the US, the UK, EU, outside the UK, in Australia. There's a lot of different data center locations that you can leverage from the security perspective. And all of these things are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Can I ask, Matt, is there an ability at this stage to choose your data center like within the EU or US, or is that not available at the moment?
Yeah, so we have one US data center, we have one Canada data center, so to be able to pick the data center that Datto leverages, depending on location, but that's all done on setup and entirely custom and chosen. Yeah,
that's right. It's always a discussion in the EU about GDPR, even though there's actually a misconception because with GDPR you don't actually have to have your data in the European Union, but a lot of people want it there just so they get a warm fuzzy feeling about it.
Yeah, you don't trust us here in the States, right?
Exactly.
We can sign PAAs, we can do whatever. We have EU and UK data centers as well, so we have the ability to do depending on where they want the location. So it's all API based as well, so it doesn't matter the closeness of the data center, doesn't matter your speeds or anything, right? It's entirely API based as well.
Yeah.
This is really where Darren comes in as well. Exceptional customer experience. So all of our Backupify customers have a customer success manager, right? So that's where Darren comes in. He will be sort of your liaison to help with certain basic questions, or if you want to open a support ticket, Darren, you can talk a little bit more about this as well.
Yeah, and this is something I talk about during pretty much every onboarding, is that really where like my value comes in is having a single point of contact to reach out to and discuss anything that you have like popping up on your environment or account. So that would include if you need additional assistance with support or our engineering team, really garnering that conversation with their teams. If, say, maybe the issue has been solved, but you want to dive a little more into, say, the use cases that you were looking to address and where the project is going down the road. Those are easier conversations to set up and have with somebody like myself, as well as a lot of the work that our team is doing to be able to provide additional information in not only the knowledge base, but in the more automated newsletters that we're sending out as well.
Great. And just to say as well that with Apps Events as a partner, we also help with a lot of the initial queries. But then, typically we get Darren and people on the Backupify team involved for any real technical support.
Awesome. And here's our security, which is incredibly important to a lot of organizations recently. As we talked about, we can sign BAAs. We have our SOC 2 Type 2 certification on our data centers as well as our application. We take security incredibly seriously. So any specific security questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. But this is sort of overall how we focus on security here.
Great.
Awesome. Should we dive into the platform here?
Yeah, let's have a look. So this is Backupify. That's what it looks like when you log in.
Yeah, this is our main screen here. This is our homepage. I will talk a little bit about implementation because I think that's pretty critical to organizations that are thinking about Backupify. It's super simple. So with your super administrator credentials, you're able to download the Backupify application from the Google Store, start to then do that initial backup. The initial backup takes, depending on size of users and storage, anywhere from 1 day to a couple weeks. It sort of depends on how large your environment is. I can't imagine that anything will take more than a couple days based on our market here, Dan. And I think that, our largest customer is like 4.5 petabytes is what they have right now. So we deal with some huge environments. And once that initial backup's done, then you're getting those 3 incrementals per day.
Sure.
All API based, like I mentioned, you can log in through Google using SSO. And this is just the homepage here. As we mentioned, super simple, easy to use, looking at all your main Google functionality.
So we've got Drive, shared drives, mail, calendar, and contacts as well. Yeah.
Yep, and contacts as well. So probably sorted by importance. A lot of organizations are saying Drive and share drives and mail are the 3 most critical areas to make sure data is recovered in.
Sure. And I guess by default, it backs up everything, doesn't it? It backs up all these areas.
Yeah, exactly. So you can set it to, by default, it does all these things. It is unlimited storage. It is indefinite retention unless you configure it to some other platform, right? We can talk more about like the settings of your retention period, right? This environment set for 10 years, but if there's some other, you need data deleted after X amount of years or even days, you can do so here.
What in the US, Matt, what's a typical retention period for schools?
They usually have it unlimited. They just say, let's keep our data forever, which, this is infinite retention. US is usually infinite. Otherwise, usually the regulation is at least 7 years. And so you can set it to 7. Sometimes it's better to not have that data than to have it. But this one in particular, we usually will just do infinite.
Got it. Great.
So I want to talk through some use cases here as well.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask if you could show how easy that process I discussed earlier about, say, departed employee or soon to be departed employee is leaving and locating them and hitting that new backup or that on-demand backup.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our demo environment. I have about 8 users in here, right? Just to test some data on. So if you click into Drive there, this is going to show your list of users that you can search on these. But one thing I want to highlight here is this little, I think it's a trash can. We're not the most artistic group, but this is a trash can that identifies an archived user. So an archived user is by definition, that's a Backupify term, not a Google term, right? So this is a user that was live in Google, had a live Backupify license, and then that Google license was removed. As you can see, their most recent backup was back in 2020, so we're able to maintain that data for quite some time. and you log in here, you can see that last snapshot's been taken on that particular day. So if you're looking to recover this full snapshot, it's as easy as clicking restore. And obviously this isn't a live environment anymore, so you'd be able to restore this back to a different user. So this is the main use case of somebody that has left the organization. You want to recover their data to somebody else. You'll be able to migrate the data to anybody else that's in the live environment here as well.
Great. How would so let's say an employee has to be terminated or some other situation. Is there a quick way to get a backup or to pull a backup of all their data?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say we know Joe is leaving the organization. You're able to log into Joe's environment and backup now. So this would be in addition. Backup started. That'll take a couple seconds, really. And this is in addition to the 3 daily. So as you can see, right, like if you go back to Joe here, he has 3 backups at 10:16 p.m., 2:16 p.m., and 6:16 a.m. You can see that that's happening every day recently. This would be in addition to those today. So they have 4 backups per day, but have that most recent before deleting the Google license.
Great. So I guess some companies or schools might want to do this right before, for example, if a staff member was leaving or was terminated for any reason. Yeah,
we recommend it just to minimize that sort of retention period. We see the most common time data is being deleted is when somebody knows or thinks they might be leaving an organization. So good to have a Backupify license in place for that moment and be able to click that back up then.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. I mean, not always maliciously, but a lot of people just do delete information. They might just think, oh, I want to get rid of all this, and then not realizing how it might affect other people. Other people might need access to their spreadsheets and things.
Yeah, and that's especially for share drives, right? You have somebody new come into the organization, get shared on a bunch of different files and folders. If they're going in and saying, I don't need this, I don't need that, delete, that could delete it for everybody. And so sometimes they don't even, it's accidental. It's not like a slip of the finger. They just don't think that anybody needs that data. So they start deleting it. Or what happens, if somebody is the owner of a share drive that leaves the organization, we've seen that happen at Backupify where all of a sudden share drives go missing and we're saying, where did those go? What happened to them? They fell out of any sort of retention policy for those. And so you're able to quickly and easily recover those.
Great. Anything else on here you think is useful to share while we're here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, from a mail perspective, obviously we're not Google Vault, but you can still do searches across mail on keywords, on metadata. You can search across some users as well. And you can export this data too. So it's not just a recovery back to a live environment, but if you're able to go into Joe's here, you can export and download this. You can export this particular snapshot and that'll download locally. That's the entire snapshot. So that's all the mail in here right now, but you're able to click specific folders or even files as well, right? So if there are any files in here, if you want to go into inbox and find specific files, you can export and restore those specific files as well. So it's not just full snapshots. It can get granular as well. Great.
So that's actually, it may be even easier to do it by Backupify than jumping into Vault if it's a simple search and a simple email search that needs to be exported.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and just for a live example here, I just exported 16,000 files for 754 meg, small size of environment here, but that took 21 seconds. And now I can download this right to my laptop just to show the speed and how easy it is to use.
Fantastic. So I was just looking at the seat management. In terms of the pricing for education, how we do it is by staff member. So we do a price per staff member. Obviously, get in touch, we can talk about that. But essentially, we agree how many staff members there's, and the student licenses are free.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of owning our own data center is we're able to leverage some free student licenses and understand that's big for the education market as well. So Dan, like you mentioned, let's base this on the faculty number, and then with the simplicity of Backupify, we don't want you to be able to go in there. One of the biggest things is to be able to leverage our auto add feature. So once it's turned on, you keep auto add on and you don't have to think about licensing. It all just happens in the background. You add a Google Workspace license. That means you attach a Backupify license. It's unmanaged from a.
That's a really important feature to emphasize auto add. And is that enabled by default, or is that something you need to enable in the admin menu?
So I believe by default it is turned on, but it's part of, you have the option. It talks about it upon onboarding. I wish I had a little bit more to go on onboarding here, but on onboarding, it says, do you want to turn this on or off? We also leverage OUs. And so if you wanted to leverage your organizational units in Google, you can go auto add by OU. So only some OUs will be auto added as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Read my brain on that one.
Yeah.
I guess, yes, sometimes schools have, they create an OU for all the archived, all the, like an alumni OU for all the students that have left, and maybe they don't need to keep backing this up,
Yep.
for example.
Yeah. A couple other administration things, right? We have the ability to go look at system events, which are backups to confirm when backups are taken, or user actions. So you can have multiple administrators in Backupify if you don't want, obviously the normal market here is some sort of technology director, but if you have administrators in the organization that they want to leverage the platform, you can sort of track the actions taken, right?
Got it.
So some sort of compliance way there as well. And obviously
Fantastic.
have multiple administrators here.
Great. So I think we've covered most of the main things. It is, I mean, it's a powerful product, but it is very simple. That's what I've known. I've just learned from playing around with it and from having some of our schools we work with using it. It's very simple. Like, the good thing about it is you can kind of more or less just set it up and forget about it until you need it. You don't have to worry the backups keep going 3 times a day.
No, yeah, it is reliable, right? I mean, Darren, we have a negative churn rate for a number of customers once you're using the platform and seeing how easy it is. We say it all the time. The main use of the product is peace of mind, is just to say, hey, I'm no longer scared my entire environment could be deleted or corrupted, right? We hear IT directors all the time. It's like, I can sleep at night now knowing that if anything does happen, I can use Backupify to go recover that data.
Definitely. Now, we're obviously a Google partner, but it is available for Microsoft as well. So again, we can still help you if you're interested. How does it work with the Microsoft solution? And what any big differences are very similar? I
mean, if you go to G Suite and click 365 here, you're in your 365 environment, and look how similar it looks, right? We see a vast majority of our customers and partners like apps events, they're Google, right? Most education is Google Workspace. Some people use Microsoft just for SharePoint or just to access things like Excel and Word. So some people have a handful of licenses there. And if you want to add them here, it's the exact same product. It's built the same, right? Your OneDrive looks like Google Drive, and it's accessed in the same panel.
Do you have any schools have a Backupify account where they have access to Microsoft and Google?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, quite a few, Darren. I know you have a couple as well.
Yeah, I would say in my customer base, I probably have about 10.
Yeah.
So it's uncommon, but more common than most people think.
We work and we know a lot of international schools that do have, like you said, SharePoint. They have some Microsoft solution, either using Active Directory and they're still using Workspace, and any kind of combination. So this could be something, again, if you think this might be interesting and you want some more information, get in touch. We can talk about it. Great. So Matt and Darren, I think we've covered almost everything. Is anything else you want to add? Anything you think we missed there?
I don't think so. Darren, do you have anything? Pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah, you did a really great job of going through all the different features, most of the use cases that I see and hear about, which honestly shouldn't be too many. You're really coming into this to verify backups every so often. Of course, address emergencies as you need them, but hopefully there aren't too many.
Great. I'm just going to put my email at the bottom of the screen, dan@appsevents.com. Get in touch with me if you want to learn any more. Matt and Darren, I really appreciate you getting up early in the morning. I don't know how early you normally get up, but it's pretty early in the morning, East Coast time. So thanks a lot for doing this. This is a good time for us, we normally do things this time because then we can get people from Middle East and Asia and Europe kind of on who might want to join. Absolutely. So I really appreciate it. Get in touch if you're interested in Backupify. Even if it's not for you, but you want some more general advice about backups, get in touch. We'll always help you. Matt, Darren, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.